Hi everyone, I hope you're doing okay. So probably as we wait for the time to get started, you can be chatting on your site. Tell us your name and then your country, where you're getting us from. Maybe you can also tell us your district you're in.
Betul TikTok ni.
Basta TikTok ah.
Hmm.
Lumana ko sam. Sa ina ka video.
Dia ko tiri dia.
Join us, please. I'm requesting the host to mute. Some people are making, yeah.
Uh, Hello, everyone. We are really glad to have you on board today. I am hoping everyone is mute. Elijah, you could help us mute. Elijah Nyanga, you could help us mute. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially kickstarting in a few. Thank you so much for being as punctual. Thank you so much for coming through. I am hoping yes, I can see my co-MC is already in the building. My co-host is already in the building. Yes, I am hoping each and every one of you is super excited for today's event. I am personally very excited, and definitely let us let in a few more people because there are quite a plethora of people coming through. The host, we are giving you an extra 2 minutes to let in the rest so that we can begin the session officially. Thank you. Hello everyone once again. Just to be as punctual as this event is meant to be. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for making time off to celebrate this particular World Day of Literacy with us. And definitely we are going to have a very, very, very amazing time here. I can assure you, I have seen in the chat room, there are quite a number of very, very amazing minds. And thank you very much, those sharing in the chat room. You can keep on sharing with us, I can see. And we are from very, very diverse places. Yes, I can see there are very many people from all across Africa, and we appreciate that. So this event is going to be massive. The program lineup, as you can see, is being shared on your screen. Yes, and that is how we are going to run for the day. We are definitely going to have. May I kindly know if my co-host is ready and geared up for this session? Priska, are you with us? Is Priska with us, or she's still climbing a tree somewhere to get network?
I think she's around.
Priska, are you with us, or you can't hear me? Cedric, I think Priska is still climbing a tree to get network somewhere.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay. Thank you very much to each and everyone who has labored, like I said, to come through. Our program for the day is definitely going to run as pinned in as pinned on the screen. We are going to have opening remarks from Joseph Tahinduka. I am hoping he is more than ready to kickstart this particular session, because all of us are more than ready to listen in to very, very amazing minds from across the globe. As is dubbed this particular year, the theme for this particular session is changing reading narratives in African communities. Yes, and I am guessing it comes at a very, very opportune moment in time. I think it comes in handy, basing on the fact that we actually need to have a discussion around our reading culture, around in our different communities. Really, we need to have that discussion. It has been a pending discussion also. So, ladies and gentlemen, today is when we're going to discuss all these things. Definitely along the way, as you can see, we shall be having iLives poetry presentation from iLives. I am hoping all the presenters are already in the house. All the participants are already in the house, because I'll be introducing you in that particular order, as is the case. I am guessing the founder of Poets Association of Uganda is already in the house. That is Ronald Sekaja. I'm hoping he's already with us. I saw somewhere that I saw in the chat room that Jason Taro is already with us. I am hoping Raymond Mangeni, Dr. Raymond Mangeni is already with us. Yes, so definitely it is going to be an amazing, amazing occasion with very many writers across the globe, writers of fiction, writers of prose, poetry. Definitely, we're going to have an amazing time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I would like to, without wasting any more time, really, I would like to welcome Joseph Tahinduka, who is the MD of Debate Institute of Africa. He's going to kick us off with this particular segment so that we can have an amazing time from then on. He's one of the organizers, so definitely need to be invited officially. Yes, Joseph, are you with us?
Okay,
Robert, can you hear me?
maybe before, can you hear? Maybe
Yes.
before Joseph comes in,
Okay.
I would love maybe the host to maybe open up the link that people can join in, because I think there are so many people waiting on the chat room, I mean on the room to join in. Maybe we could just let it be open so that these guys can join. I think they're having some trouble joining in.
Yes. Kindly, the host, you could keep letting people in, please, because we need those people not to miss. Some of those are the participants on the different platforms as well. So the host, kindly take charge. Needless to say, let me again take this opportunity to invite Joseph Tahinduka to officially open up this platform. Joseph, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Robert and Priska, for inviting me over. Ladies and gentlemen from all around Africa, my name is Joseph, and I take this opportunity to give you the moment that gave birth to this dream. As I was preparing this speech, I asked myself, what exactly should I present? Should I present? Because I could give you the inspirational speech, the Martin Luther kind. I could give you the speeches that bite, like Olanya. I could give you the speeches that are poetic in nature, like Maya Angelou. But one thing that categorically told me that, hey, how about you tell the story of how this dream started, and on the conversation that it came from. I felt like starting from there will give wings to this dream, because the Africa Readers Conference is a nurturing ground for the dream of changing reading narratives in Africa, meaning whoever is within these spaces loves reading and wants to promote the same in African communities. So, ladies and gentlemen, to the two stories that will make the day. The first story was I met Agatha about a year ago, exactly a year ago. Now, I'm a speech and debate coach, and I started together with Friends Debate Institute Africa, where we coach students in critical thinking, speech, debate, and talent and character in general. So I met Agatha, and she had interest in debate. So when we started having sessions on coaching, I realized that she has a lot of interest in reading. Now, I had never met anyone who has as much interest in reading as Agatha. That is the founder and CEO of Readers Africa. So I suggested that how about you get a few friends and you start reading. And I think the first book that was read was The Purpose Driven Life. Those 40 days were like magical days, because numbers had become numbers and had become numbers. I remember we had a group, then we formed subgroups, then the numbers became too many, and then we realized that probably there was need for this dream to become a prototype which can be replicated in very many other ways. And that is what gave birth to the Rangers Book Club. What is the point of telling this story? The point of telling this story is that there are very many people who love reading within African communities, but there are no spaces that can enable them to grow their reading, or there are no mates or friends or clubs that enable them to meet together and grow this reading skill. Reading in and of itself has a potent effect on one's soul and future. There is no one who has ever submitted to reading that has remained the same. It cannot happen, and it has never happened. That's why we thought it was vital for us to bring everybody on board who is interested in joining this dream. Readers Africa has a dream, and that dream is to ensure we can plant 100 book clubs around Africa per year. Why am I saying this statistic? I'm saying this statistic because you who is listening to me from wherever you are, whether it is in Lusaka in Zimbabwe, whether it is in Cape Town, whether it is in Liberia, you who is listening to me, after this conference, you're either going to join a book reading club, or you're going to start one within your community. Because we want that we reach as many people as possible. Well, people, I think we overheard people saying maybe these people got a lot of money from, of course, what people call white donors to now promote this narrative. No, we are a totally locally funded organization that is Readers Africa, who are aiming at changing reading narratives in Africa. Where if they come on board, it will be a good thing. But primarily, you who is in this conference, the question after this conference, the biggest question shall be, will you be able to start a book reading club? Either you're in that school, whether it's in Nairobi or Dar es Salaam or Dodoma, or in Juba or in Mogadishu, wherever you are you able to start a book reading club, even if it meets twice a month, right? Even if it meets 4 times a month, are you able to form a club that people can meet simply for the purpose of reading? That is the challenge that we want to pose to you today. And there is going to be a form which I'm going to be sharing after here during the sessions. You will be encouraged to say, I am here, I want to start a club. And after that, we shall take you through a post-conference where we shall train you in how to run a book club and on how Readers Africa can support you to ensure that you can contribute to the dream of changing reading narratives in Africa. The second final story I wanted to tell you is a story that happened before I was born, and I'm not going to mention the character up to the end. So what happened before I was born is that there was a young woman who was at university. This young woman wanted extracurricular, at times you want money off your books, right? You want to do something which will earn you some money, or at times when you don't have the tuition, you want some money which can enable you to, cover tuition or cover your living expenses. This woman used to work. She used to work at, there was a white who was working at the university as a lecturer. So this white also had a bookstore. So the woman used to work and go, make up the compound and make the compound a better place. And that woman would offer to pay that young lady. That young lady said, you know what? I do not want that money. Just save the money and I will work for a book. So the young lady was working such that they could get a book to read. You can imagine. About 30 years ago, before I was born, at university. So the diligence that this young lady had to say, you know what? I don't want the money. Just make sure that I work, either when I make your compound thrice a month, you give me a book. That will be enough for me. Ladies and gentlemen, that young woman is now an old mother of mine who is about to make 60. And some of those books which she bought are in the library at home. And they are one of the first books that gave me a great experience in reading. To me, reading was not just something I do for class. I remember at school, if exams would be done, I would go back to the library, because for me, reading was not just about, it was not just about exams. It was about ensuring that I can enrich my mind. I remember doing biology, chemistry, and math in A level. But every time I went to a library, I used to ensure that I read books, the almanacs, the encyclopedias, and that enriched me and made me different. I was not even aware of the kind of difference that that kind of experience was making in my life, until it became so evident that people were so worried about how different I had become, of course, in a better way. But reading is what had created that magic. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting something which can change lives, which can lift a young boy in the deep village, whether it is in Rusape or Kabare or Kanungu or in Kinshasa, to lift them from the ravages of poverty, to allow them to sit with kings on international tables. Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby take this opportunity to open the Africa Readers Conference, the starter of the movement to change reading narratives in Africa. Thank you.
Wow. I must say, what an opening that was. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joseph. This was quite the opening for us, and definitely anyone who has been listening in anyone who has been, following will attest to the fact that, yes, there is need for such a revolutionized way of doing things. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm hoping that everyone now actually knows the gist of why we are here. At least that was an opening enough to tell everyone in the most simplistic ways possible that the reason as to why we are here is because we need to change the narrative. Thank you so much, Joseph. That was quite the opening. Priscilla, are you with us? I mean, Priska, my co-moderator, are you with us?
Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. I am a little bit sorry for my network. It was really bad, but yes, I'm finally here. And thank you, Obed, for taking on while I was still jumping around with network. Yeah, but first of all, I want to, sorry?
I was asking Cedric whether you had found a tree where you could station yourself because of network.
I definitely found one. I don't think it will, again, bring in hiccups. So yeah, first of all, I am so excited, like excited. I remember early this year when we sat down as the executive of Readers Africa and we're drafting on how we can actually bring this to life. And here we are, even when COVID struck and we cannot do physical things, at least we are here. And I am very excited that we are with people around Africa. And if it was physical, it would be limited to just Ugandans. But at this point, we are borderless. And this is exciting and amazing. I feel so excited. I feel my heart is bleeding with happiness and excitement. This is amazing. I would love to welcome all of us. This is Readers. This is the African Readers Conference. We are extremely excited to have you today, and definitely feel at home. Ask every question in the chat room as we lead on with the different programs we have today. Thank you very much. Obed, what was the next? I think we are going to the next speaker, right?
Yes, we have iLives to do us a piece, a poetic piece. I am hoping iLives is already with us. iLives, are you there? You can say yes to do us a piece that could usher us to the next speaker. iLives, is iLives with us?
iLives Uganda. Priska.
Yes.
I think as we wait for her, maybe because I know some people are here in boxing, who are these executives of the Readers Africa? Maybe you could take 1 minute and then introduce the team as we wait for Eyelash to come on.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take the privilege, definitely. So I'm very sure the entire team is here. That is at least I'm sure about. And the team of the team that leads the Readers Africa, which is under Rangers Book Club, is Agatha. She's our ED. Agatha, I don't know whether I have the powers to introduce that mighty lady. She's a very young girl. She's still a girl because she's done wonderful things at a very young age. She's an author of a book, and I'm very sure after here, you guys should look out for that. It's really amazing. You look out for the book. It's Arrow of Destiny. She's the author of that book, and she's also our leader at Readers Africa. She's among the founding members of Rangers Book Club, and she's also a founding member of Readers Africa. Agatha, if you are around, please say hi, just so that people get to know you are in the house. Thank you.
The mom is in the house.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Priska, for the opportunity. Yeah, I'm really very much excited to be here, to be part of you all. My name is Akulo Gakuchko.
Okay, thank you. That was her. So, guys, after here, let's go and buy the book. Let's support African literature, Ugandan literature. I'm sure we have amazing authors around, and every time you come on, please introduce yourself and tell us the title of your book. We're definitely going to look out for the book. Then the next member, we have Joseph Gracious Tahinduka, who is from giving us the history about how this book club came to life and also the impact of reading in our lives. Joseph is the ED of Debate Institute Africa, and it's also another organization that is supporting young dreams out there, that is nurturing the African dream, is doing amazing work. Personally, he's like a mentor to me. We have come a long way with him. Joseph, please bless us with your hi. Thank you very much. We also have another member. He's also a mentor to very many young people. He's a mentor to very many young speakers, and he's also doing amazing work out there. We are a family that is doing amazing to see that this African dream, changing the narrative, is going all the way. Mugisha Cohen, if you are around, please say hi. Do we have him? I saw him around. Maybe network is the problem.
Okay. Thank you so much, Priska. I would like to say hi, Africa. Hi, everyone. My name is Cohen Mugisha, and I'm so much humbled and much delighted to be part of this team, and most specifically celebrating this day with you, and wish you the best of tonight.
Oh, thank you very much, Cohen. And then another author. We have another author on the team. The author is, he's also the founding member of Seven Seeds Uganda. It's based in northern Uganda. It's a family that gives hope and extends hope in community and people that are less privileged. They also do musical productions that give hope to people. They do a lot of things. I'm part of the Seven Seeds. He's also an author of Building the Great Character. He's also a member, an executive member on the Readers Africa team. Cedric Otolo, I'm so blessed to know you. Please say hi to us.
Well, hi. I'm so happy, very happy to be here, and I feel so humble, so pretty excited, and love you all. Bye-bye.
Oh, thank you very much. And then the other member is me. My name is Priska Kelowang, and I'm very, very blessed to know and to be part of this family. I am very, very blessed to be part of this conference today. I look forward to catching up with everyone. Let's enjoy, let's learn, let's open our minds. Thank you very much. So do we have our performer in the room already? Obed, is the performer around?
I still can't allocate iLives. So I am guessing iLives will come in later on. That is after an engagement from our next speaker. I hope that is still fine, because there are still some performances that will come in even later. So yes, I guess we can still proceed with the program, so that we are not held back by time. We have the one and only president and founder of the Poets Association of Uganda, Priska.
Yes.
I am trying to swell up the introduction. I am hoping you are ready. You are going by.
I think at this point, you know, I feel like I don't have the I don't have enough to carry that bio. Like, you know, it's really hard.
Let,
But
let, let
yes,
me
I
carry,
think we have.
let me carry it for the team. So we have our next speaker is the founder of Poets Association of Uganda. He is also founder of Stubborn Poetry. It's an organization as well of poets here and there, and he has written quite a number of books. I think on our Ugandan scene, he has really written numerous books. The man seems to be writing every single day, and he always writes masterpieces. Yes, he has echoes of
Have you
Diane
gotten a
Lane.
chance to listen to some of his pieces? He gives
You
life.
haven't gotten a
He
chance.
gives
You haven't
words.
gotten a chance.
I'm asking whether you did.
I have listened to one of his poems. Is my very best, actually. He does amazing poetry. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the one and only, very I won't say he's outspoken. He always speaks very calmly, as if he doesn't have words up his sleeves. Let me take this opportunity to invite Ronald Sekaja to come and address us. Sekaja, you're more than welcome.
Thank you very much, Obed. Good afternoon, Africa. Good afternoon to all the readers and writers across the continent. I'm glad to be part of the people giving opening remarks in this conference. Evidently, I don't have so many words. I might have a couple of books, but not very many words. It's really amazing, and I was really very humbled when Joseph was giving the opening remark and highlighting the dream that we have ahead of ourselves and the aspiration of opening up quite a number of book clubs across the continent to help us nurture the reading culture. Many of us have been able to really take interest in writing and reading because of the nurturing we got, perhaps by the schools we went through or the guardians we were with. So it's really amazing to know that this is really the ultimate goal that we are looking at in promoting and opening up opportunities for people to read, for people to access literature, for people to access the wonderful art of storytelling and poetry and the different genres that we write about. It's really amazing how most of us, and this is not just Africa, but the entire globe have dropped in regards to how people read. If you look at the statistics around George Martin's book Game of Thrones, the number of copies sold versus the viewership. And when you look at the HBO viewership is over 22 billion, and that is excluding those of us who watch off CDs and DVDs in Africa that never really get counted. And less than 1 million copies sold, and until the series became very prominent, that is when he was able to go above 1 million copies sold. It really points to the fact that people are growingly getting more interested in watching or listening than reading, and this makes us forget the key benefits of reading, which include the fact that as we grow, our brain muscles tend to weaken, and this affects our IQ, this affects our decision making abilities, it affects our cognitive abilities, and as we grow older, therefore means that if we don't build our cognitive abilities and build the brain muscles, it means we are susceptible to things like dementia and all other diseases that come with weak brains. So it is important for us to really preach the gospel of reading and to let people know the benefits that they accrue when they read, and even within a place where we have very limited time, it is very critical for us to have time read, because us being writers, we cannot write well, we cannot grow the craft of writing or even performing poetry if we don't read, if we don't access other people's works and learn from them and build from them, build our vocabulary, build our art of weaving words. If we don't read, then you are limited. You can only remain at the skill that you are currently at. It's quite very important for us to really build readers clubs and build the reading culture even within ourselves and our children, because the kind of person you will be depends on the people who you surround yourself with and the books that you really read. So we really need to enhance our reading and to promote the works that we have, so that other people can know about them and read them. I'm happy to note that I've been able to write in the last couple of years, I think about 8 books. 4 of them are about five of them are already out on the market, and I'm actually having other 2 coming out. Actually 6 are on market, just 1 is out of stock and awaiting a reprint, and other 2 are coming through. So if you go on Jumia and you search for Rona Kestaja, you can find books. If you go on Bookzera, if you go on most of the bookshops, you will find quite a number of my books. And the latest that is coming out, which is Needles and Hospital Bed Sheets, is one that will intrigue you with the art of blending science and literature and the art of talking about diseases and all the different things that humans suffer from, within the richness of language, and of course another called the Renaissance that you should look out for. But I think the last on the market was When Dreams Die, which is still a good book that we should look out for. And considering that we're asked to bank Kalango for ourselves, I wanted that to be part of my closing highlight, so that you reach out and get some of these books and read and add on your library, so that I'm part of the people who you shelve immortally in your library, so that my words can live on, so that there's that aspect of us being immortal as writers. So every time you buy a book, every time you read a book, you contribute to our eternal life, and we thank you. And we also want to take the opportunity to read other people, so that we contribute to their immortality. That is all I had, Obed and Patricia, and the rest of the team from ARC, and the entire Rangers Book Club. We really thank you. We really thank Agatha and the entire team. Thank you very much for putting this together. The effort is commendable, and we know we'll come through better and bigger in the upcoming engagements. Thank you, and have a lovely conference ahead of ourselves.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Yes.
Fred, this is, if you're not moved, then there is definitely something wrong with your soul. This was
Indeed.
amazing.
Yes. Now, Sekaja, thank you very much. I believe we shall get to a later point in time when definitely we shall continue discussing your progress with the different books, because most of your books are also trendy of late. So definitely we shall need a little bit more clarity later on as the discussion progresses. Priska, have you ascertained whether we have our first poet in the house?
I'm trying to look through. I'm trying to look through. I don't know what tag name they use on Zoom, because I can't see the name. But before we go, I want to just send a shout out to an author in the house. This is really just something, gave me memories of my high school. I met him when I was in Form 3, that is 2016. He was publishing his, I don't know whether it was a very first book. I don't really remember, but it was a book that was like sort of my storyline. like my personal storyline. His name is Jerry Estanga. He's also my hobby. Jerry, hi. Don't respond. You respond later at your time, but I just really want to put in a chat. It's really been long, but yeah. Thank you for joining us. But, do we have our poet?
Priska,
Yes.
Priska, I think you have sent a shout out to Jerry just because you want to appear in his next movie. I have read your
You
script.
just
You want to
can't.
appear in his next movie.
I needed to use this opportunity. You just don't know.
Yes.
Can
Any
Patricia,
comments
can you
on-
mute?
And-
Patricia and Babire.
Yes, Babidi Rachel and Patricia, you can help us mute.
Sorry? Please mute.
Okay, Babidi and Rachel, you could help us mute. All right, that is good. Babidi and Rachel, you could help us mute. Obed Hill, the host, let's mute. And,
Right.
okay.
Babire, can you mute, please?
Okay. I am hoping Babidi has muted so that we can progress to the next. Yes. Okay, thank you. Babidi has muted. Okay, thank you very much. Next on our agenda, Priska, we have our very next speaker who hails all the way from Botswana, actually. And our very next speaker is the author of more than 20 books. So we are rubbing shoulders with very, very amazing people. Our next speaker is the author of 20 books, and How Overcoming Failure is doing the most. Her book, Overcoming Failure, is doing the most in changing the lives of youth across Africa. She's also the founder of Mula Fort African Literature Award competition, which I believe most of you were following just recently. Quite a number of you followed, and quite a number of you from Uganda, me inclusive, also submitted to that particular competition. She's a renowned literary manager and a mentor. She has collaborated with more than 10 different writers from various African countries. She also believes in a united Africa. She's a gender-based violence and sexual abuse activist, and is also usually seen at traditional wards and schools, emancipating people. She's also a founder on a project called Read Africa Bala. That is RAB, Read Africa Bala, which aims at educating the marginalized whom the education system skipped across Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this opportune moment to welcome all the way from Botswana, Paula O.M.
Before she comes, we have Jolie who is unmuted, and it's really, really disturbing the voice quality.
We could have our host mute. I mean, we could have
mute them.
The host mute all of us. Then you know, the speaker can unmute.
Jolie
Jesse. Okay, so I think we are good to go then. Let me take this opportunity again to welcome Paula Otukile. Is Paula with us? You could unmute and then progress. Is Paula with us? Paula, you could unmute and then we progress.
But do we have Paula with us?
Okay. I am ascertaining that in case we do not.
Apologies from Agatha that she's going to join us later. So
okay, that is okay. Since Paula will be joining us a little bit later on, can we have next program? We are going to have a performance next on program. I am hoping he has been ready all the while. Anyways, he has always been ready. He's a very poetry-wise, he's the very best. He's
you need to introduce him in tongues.
In tongues.
You need to introduce him in tongues.
Okay. Let me just use the little bit of tongues that I have. I would like to welcome a very, very amazing poet. He has been a part of the revolution here, the poetry revolution here. He has been a part of a lantern meet of poets, one of the very best that we know of, since it's what we saw growing up in the poetry spheres. He has been a mentor. He has been a helping hand for most of us, trying to venture into this particular platform of performance poetry. I would like to welcome the one and only Jason Ntaro to grace this particular.
You should also say his poetry gives life. You shouldn't really leave out that.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jason.
Am I audible enough? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are loud and clear, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. I hope that the poem I'm going to perform will give life. But anyway, I'm Jason Ntaro. I am a poet. I perform poetry. I also do coaching of poetry performance. I also do storytelling for children, along with other things. So let me just get into this poem. This is a poem called A Sack of Broken Glass. I am a sack filled with shards of glass cutting the cloth that holds me together. Anyone that tries to help stitch and patch this casing closed gets cut. Please keep your distance. Now, I don't say this because I don't want your help. No, I actually do. I need it. It's just that I don't want for you to bleed too. You see, sometimes it's easier to convince yourself that you are destined for this depressive state of being. No, actually, most times. Because hope is a slack rope, slippery, swaying, waiting for you to fall. Mantra. I've had all kinds of mantras to muffle this sound, but mantras turn monotone and I just cannot handle these monotonous silent drillings of doubt. I think that's what it is, doubt. Or perhaps an imposter syndrome, or maybe it's just me being who I am meant to be in this moment. Maybe this is a broken step to keep me where I'm supposed to find me. Wait, let's go back a little bit. Imposter syndrome. The persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own effort or skills. I guess that's just a clever way of saying self-doubt. You see, I've removed all of the mirrors in my room. I can't stand my reflection. I can't stand the look that I give me. Now imagine someone that you look up to who only looks down on you. Well, my dead image looks down on me, judging me before I see anybody and everybody else. I am honestly lost. I am lost in a deeply dark, small room with a darkness that light cannot penetrate. A room so small and tight that I cannot move. And as I flex to break free, I break and tear me more than I was before. Walls whispering, don't fight me. Don't find me, but do. You see, this is the confusion. I need to want help. I want to need help, but I just don't know what is what. Thank you very much. That was the poem Sack of Broken.
Thank you very much, Jason. Taro, can we send in? Okay, let's send some hands, like we clap. Just yes, I wanted us to clap, maybe in the chat space. Can we show some love?
Thank you very much.
Wow.
I'm very glad to be here.
Thank you very much. This was really amazing. I'm sure we liked it and
Priska.
gave us life to go
Priska.
on, to carry on with the conference.
Priska.
But are you there, or your network is
Yeah.
also having issues?
Well, when I grow up, I want to be like the person who just recited the poem. That was so good, and I'm really looking forward to shifting my career from what I'm doing to poetry. I don't know who can give me the best guides, and I don't know how you can help me out.
But Cedric, like, you want to be like Agatha, you want to be like Jason. Okay, you also say you want to be like me.
Okay, that will be in the next conference. But anyway, also I'm requesting the Debate Institute Africa, the host, to help, and then there are so many people waiting in the waiting room. Maybe if you can enable the waiting room to be open so that they can easily access, would be so good. Yeah, that would be really important. Or you can, yeah, thank you.
for the wonderful job. Well done and for inspiring us. It is the International Day of Literacy, and my job in here is very simple. I have already been introduced. Cohens Mugisha is my name. I serve in Readers Africa as the capacity building officer. That is not by mistake, it is by grace, but I'm also inspired by the will of the young people to make sure that they have a contribution to make to growing the African dream. Now, going through what our mission and vision, in addition to what we've already been, what the light Joseph has given us, I'll just give a summary of what Readers Africa is and what we aim at doing, and perhaps some few details if perhaps you had questions about Readers Africa as an entity. Now, Readers Africa was born not very many years back. We are about 1 year and a few months old. We were established in 2020, on 24th June 2020. So that tells you that we have just, we recently celebrated our first birthday. And we hope that in the next years to come, we'll be celebrating our birthdays in this kind of style. So going forward, is that who are we as Readers Africa? We are defined by a lot of things. And part of this is one, our vision. We look at the mission and some of the objectives. Now, who are we? So Readers Africa is a community of young Africans. There are basic things that define this community of young Africans. These young Africans, one, have a lot of potential. And two, they have a vision to nurture the African dream with a unique identity by fostering reading skills among African communities. So that is who we are in terms of vision, if you were to break it down into the simplest terms. Now, going forward, you would also be interested in knowing maybe by now we have very many testimonies that people would be like, okay, I am able to do this because I am part of the movement of Readers Africa. So Readers Africa under the Debate Africa Institute, we have book clubs, dubbed Rangers Book Clubs. And here we have cells. We are one big family with 10 cells or chapters. And these, oh, sorry. Okay, so in this, the 10 chapters that we are looking at, or the 10 cells, they are informed by a number of things. That the chapters are both in the form of country chapters, where we have about 5 country chapters, mention Uganda, mention Zimbabwe, mention Ghana, mention South Africa, and the rest. And then we also, in addition, have about 5 institutional chapters. At the moment, we are at university level or tertiary institutions, a total of 10 cells, but of one big family of Rangers book clubs that include reading, that include our discussions, reviews. So it's always very holistic space where young people meet, read reflectively, but also go on to transfer the knowledge, the skills, and the intellect into real life application to see how best we can achieve our real life dreams, but also contributing to the big dream, which is the African dream. Now, going forward, our vision already established, but our communities as one of the springboard of Africa. We believe that for Africa to realize this dream, we must do a thing to empower young people. Because yes, we all need each other. We need the other age bracket. But at the end of the day, we believe that for Africa's dream to live, to be achieved, but also be sustained, we must look at empowering young people by giving them this kind of space. Also, part of our objectives is that we look at supporting the youth through engagement in reading and creative arts. but also looking at articulating and liberating Africa, the African society, through growing a society that is value oriented. We do not only want to have people who read for the sake of reading, but people who can read, at the end of the day, be able to make a contribution, but also have respect for values. We talk about godliness, we talk about integrity, we talk about accountability. These are some of the things that reading we have been able to borrow knowledge and skills and therefore translate them into real life experiences. And then maybe lastly, we also look up to nurturing a generation of purpose-driven leaders. As Joseph told you, the first book that we did in Rangers Book Clubs was A Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. So it is this kind of inspiration, that gave us a lot of charisma to push on. And we thought, if we must go to the dream, if we must realize it, then we need a group of purpose-driven leaders. And to us, we believe that when we read, we think and lead. From us, for now, that is just a brief about Readers Africa. We will continue to share much information about us, but you can also visit our website at www.readersafrica.org. We have our Facebook page in the name of Readers Africa. You can follow us on Twitter on Readers Africa for more details. But we are also around to answer perhaps any kind of questions that you may be having or any other concern. For now, allow me to stop here and wish every one of us the very best of this day. Happy International Day of Literacy.
Okay, go ahead. Thank you, the CBO of Readers Africa. Thank you very much for representing, for ably representing that is. And I'm guessing you've given much more light to, the initiative, to the whole revolutionizing of things, how you put everything to progress and how we should actually have everything progress in the long run. Thank you very much. Cohens, I am going to, please sit tight. I am going to re-invite you because the next session has you coordinating it. And it is one very, very beautiful session, I must say, because here we are going to be much, much more interactive than these other segments that have been. I'm hoping all the actors in that segment are good to go. I am also yet to ascertain whether we, Agatha, you'll help inform me whether we have iLives, whether we have Otukile with us, and Dr. Raymond with us. You'll help inform me at a later stage. But nonetheless, I would like to progress to the very next segment of this particular celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call. If it were us meeting physically, these people would be taking their seat. But definitely, even virtually, I am guessing they can create mind pictures of themselves now taking seats. So definitely, I would like to invite Nane Ntube from Cameroon. I would like to invite Jerry Sesanga from Uganda, who is the CEO of Hollywood. I would like to invite Emma Mashovane Semba, who is from South Africa. He's an author. I'd like to invite Destiny Gladys of EcoMinds Poets from Uganda. I would like to also invite Jemak Gareba, who is a novelist. These will definitely be introduced much more by Cohens Mugisha, who has spoken to us. Cohens, this particular session will be one of reading innovations roundtable, and definitely these people will give us an insight on what the topic or the topical discussion for today is. We are looking more at changing reading narratives in African communities. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hand you over to Cohens Mugisha, who is going to moderate our next segment of Reading Innovations Round Table. Cohens.
Thank you once more, Obaid, for giving me this opportunity. And well, I will still say it is a pleasure having every one of us here in this segment of Reading Innovations. It will be focusing on our theme, changing the reading narratives in African communities. Now, in this space, we realize that it is a lot that we must talk about literacy and reading. If I should kick it off with just a simple definition of literacy, according to UNESCO, it defines a literate person as a person who is able to read and write. There are perhaps wonder human beings, for example, old women and men that we have seen in churches who can be able to read and recite hymns from hymn books, but are not able to, for example, they are not able to write. So those are half literate. But the beauty is that today we are going to share and discuss and think together, because this is just the beginning of the conversation on how best we can create very good spaces, but also be able to actualize these ideas in the pursuit of the African dream. Now, alongside with me, I'll be co-moderating this session with Akulu Agatha, who is our team leader at Readers Africa. And Akulu Agatha, I'll request that you just say hi, and we shall get into introducing our panelists tonight.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Cohens. I'm on. Hi, everyone. Let me take this time to welcome you all to the Reading Innovations Roundtable. Have the best of it all. Thank you.
Perfect. Very precise. Okay. Now, in this session, we have about 6 panelists. I will just introduce 3 of them, and my co-moderator, Agatha, is also going to introduce the other 3. Now, as we did it, we fly in and fly out. And where do we start from? I do not want to start from, okay, charity begins at home. I will start from Uganda. From Uganda, on this panel, we have Destiny Gladys Chaiga, aka the Midnight Owl. You can hear how that sounds. So she is a Ugandan female poet and affiliated to the Echo Minds Poets. This lady, who is a very powerful and elegant lady, is the first female poetry group in Uganda that was established then, that she will tell us. She's also a member of All Poets Association of Uganda, and she also has had the privilege, and she works with the United Nations Association of Uganda and the Uganda Health Communications Alliance as an in charge of clubs and chapters. Very awesome lady that we have tonight. She is also in the Department of Multimedia Office in the Uganda Health Communications. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I take the pleasure to introduce Destiny Gladys Chaiga. And she always uses her voice to make sure that it raises that voice of social problems. Destiny, where with it and just say hi.
Hi, thank you for the elaborate introduction. I am honored to be a panelist in today's conference.
Okay, thank you so much, Destiny. That smile is very much welcoming, and I believe there could be very many people who are at the door knocking. We pray that the host will make sure everyone is in to enjoy this. Now, secondly, let's fly to where? To South Africa. Let's go to South Africa. Tighten your seatbelts as I take you to South Africa, and we welcome our next panelist in this segment. And he is by the name Themba Emmanuel Mashobane. Okay, you'll forgive some pronunciations that may not go right, but if you know how to speak Zulu very well, some Lesotho and any other languages in South Africa, then you will easily associate with him. But he's a very wonderful man. He's an author of Satisfaction, just satisfaction. We shall get satisfaction from this kind of session. He is also a winner of the African Honorary Authors Awards, and he's also an international ambassador and writer at the popular East African paper of Mount Kenya Times. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the man himself, Pemba Emmanuel Mashobane. Yes, Pemba, wherever you are, you could turn on your video and say hi.
I think he's not on. Yeah, he's not on, I think.
Okay, it's quite unfortunate, but you'll be joining us soon. And allow me from this end
Zoom meeting
to introduce our host. Please help me mute TechnoSpark 5. We are getting some feedback from TechnoSpark 5. Okay, thank you so much. I pray that we'll keep our microphones muted unless we have something to say, but even if you have something to say, please make sure maybe you raise your hand. We'll be able to pick you up, or we'll see how, rather than interfering with the process. Thank you so much. Now, from South Africa, we board Uganda Airlines and come back to the Pearl of Africa. Yes, this was from Uganda, but this very panelist comes from the Pearl of Africa, which is an equivalent of Uganda. And gentlemen, I introduce to you this wonderful person. And he is by the name, it's a simple name, however difficult to pronounce. Okay. He is by the name Gareba John Mark, who is an educator and the CEO Uganda Children Forum, UCF. He is an author and a researcher, a very, very good and long-living mentor and a good activist. He's also a Lion and the General Secretary of the Lions Club of Mukono hosts. For those of us from all over Africa, Mukono is one of the districts, one of the popular districts nearing the Kampala capital city of Uganda. He is also very passionate about empowering young children to build their confidence. I have taken a look or a glimpse at his profile or display photo. There is children, and it is important to have such people on the panel because we are talking about the future of Africa and the dream of Africa, whose core custodians are young people. We are so glad to have a very passionate person who believes in selfless love. Ladies and gentlemen, on this day, allow me to present to you the man himself, Gareba John Mark. John Mark, wherever you are, you could turn on your video and say hi. Okay, thank you so much, John Mark. He is here and will
mixer team, and also he strikes a balance between advocating for the film industry, the writing industry, and then also the reading industry. So let me take this time to welcome Joy Sesanga. Kindly unmute and just say hi to us. Thank you.
Hello, hope you're good. Yes, I'm there. Thank you so much, Agatha.
Thank you. Most welcome. Yeah. So I'm going to go to Ms. Nanen Tube from Cameroon. Yeah, she is a born actively driven poet. At the moment, she's mentoring over 100 young writers all over Africa. Yeah, she's also the author of Litany of a Foreign Wife, and most of our poems have been judges all over Africa, and some have also been performed in Cameroon. And at the same time, she was also the panelist. Just like we have the African Writers Conference, there's also the African Writers Conference. Yeah, so in 2019, she was also a panelist of the African Writers Conference. And also she's the curator of the Young English Cameroonian Writers Awards. Also the coordinator and founder of Writers Space Africa Cameroon, and then also the coordinator of African Festival of Emerging Writers. It is really not a mistake that we have you here, Ms. Nanen Tube. You're most welcome. Kindly unmute and say hi to us. Yes.
Hello, Agatha. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm blessed.
You're most welcome. Yeah. And the last person that we have here is Mr. Joseph Tahinduka, who also doubles as the managing director of Debate Institute Africa and then Readers Africa. He's also the host of African Readers Conference. He is a public speech coach and debate coach, and he has worked with a lot of organizations like Action Aid Uganda, the Global Platform, Open Space. And the most striking thing also is that he's someone who is really fervent about, African dream. He identifies the talents of the youth, and then he tries to nurture their dreams. Yes, you're most welcome, Mr. Joseph Tahinduka. If you're on, kindly unmute and say hi to us. Thank you. Over to you, Cohens.
Okay, very much wonderful. That is our dearest. I know that you are going to have to run through this segment. So just a few ground rules. This part of the discussion, we'll be having questions from the moderators directed to the panelists that will be rotating around the theme. So we will also request that if you are part of the audience and you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat room. We'll be able to pick them up. And perhaps our panelists will also be on the look that if there is anything they won't be able to respond to orally, they'll take time to respond to them. But as we earlier said, this discussion has just begun. Your question may not be answered in this specific segment, but we will do very good we have very good rapport. They will be able to have these things recorded and will share with you a very comprehensive report about what is transpiring in this conference. So let's just get started. We will be taking questions in turns, me and Agatha, and then being mindful of time, we'll also be giving some time specifications just to make sure we do not run out of time. So the first question, as we kickstart this discussion, I would just like to interest us with a few numerical facts that are very much shocking. And I think it is very core that we know about them. When I was reading through one of the African Library Project, which is a project that talks about African literacy, I came across some few interesting statistics and very amazing. I do not know how you will judge them, but one is that more than 1 in 3 adults cannot read. That is in sub-Saharan Africa. 2, second fact, bitter, but it may be true, that 182 million adults are unable to read and write. As I earlier defined literacy, that tells you that 182 million adults are illiterate in sub-Saharan Africa. But also 48 million youth in between the age of 15 and 24 are also unable to read and write. To our dear panelists, we shall give each of you 2 minutes in the start to give us your perspective on the status quo of African literacy and reading as an activity. I will take the chance to begin with, let's start with Destiny. Destiny, 2 minutes. Give us your perspective on the African literacy and reading status quo.
Thank you once again, Cohen. I hope I'm audible enough from here and you can get me clearly.
Yes, you are.
Okay, I will assume that you can hear me. In case I'm not audible, somebody can send a message in the chat. I would like to appreciate, first of all, the team behind this conference. It is one that is really key in shaping the reading culture, the future of where we are going to move from today. For what I can say is that as Africans, for quite a long time, we have been termed as a continent that does not like reading. And there are even quotations which say that to hide something from an African, hide it in a book, because they know that, or they believe that an African will not take the initiative to read the content, to read and discover for himself or for herself what is in the book. And that narrative has moved for centuries. Somebody may say, but we read in school, for those who have gone to school. Yes, reading in school because you want to pass exams, not necessarily because you want to move, to learn something on your own initiative. That is something else for another day. What I can say for us is that we are in a new era, which is an eye-opening era, an era where we have realized the need for us to read beyond just academics, to read to acquire knowledge, to read to understand what is happening around us, to read to be knowledgeable around global affairs, but most importantly, around things that surround us as Africans. We are richly blessed with our history, with our different societies and how they do things. How we are able to benefit from that is only through reading. So for me, it is an awakening moment. We're in an era where we are awakening, especially the young people are awakening to read. So having already you who are here and those that are not also in for this conference, I am really glad, I am delighted that we are moving on a path that is of great progress for us to develop our reading culture at individual basis, but also at group level, at communal level, and hopefully when the national cultural reading systems improve, our continent will improve and we shall see great elements of development. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Very beautiful insights coming in from Destiny. Now, I think for matters of order, we'll have Jerry follow, and then we'll have Joseph, and then John Mark, and then we'll also have, yeah, in that order, we shall be also letting you know. But for now, let's have Jerry. Meanwhile, Joseph will be preparing. 2 minutes, please. Jerry, the mic is yours. Take it on.
Okay. Thank you so much. for organizing this. Moderator, hello. I hope I'm clear.
Yeah,
Hello.
we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. About reading in Africa, more to say with what she has already commented on. What I really believe, I'm someone who has written widely, 12 novels, and I've also had the opportunity of at least traveling to 15 different countries across the world. And I've come down to Uganda here, and I've always told people it is easier finding a Charles Dickens book than finding a book for any other Ugandan writer. Go to all bookshops and see. And then the other big challenge is our kind of prioritizing. For example, it is easy for people to, you could see the people that are much followed on social media. You could see things that our parents, our generations are investing in, and look at what they are not investing in. For example, you could find that you could find that when you go into a home, you find that someone can afford to buy all the expensive stuff that they may need to use. You find, but there's no single book in the bookshop, in a bookshelf, even for families that are, we could say, well off. Then the other biggest challenge has been, I think, I've traveled to places where children would very much want to read, but they do not have access to reading materials. So like they are yearning to read so much. I've had testimonies of children telling me, we've read your novel 12 times, we've read it over and over again. So for this kind of for a kind of society like this, it takes us takes people like you who are convening and say, how do we change this kind of mindset? Because it also starts with the mindset. I always tell people when I'm sharing my story that the opportunity I got since childhood was because my mother happened to be a nursery school teacher, but she happened to be a nursery school teacher in a school that educates diplomats' children in Kampala. So her school, you'd find the US ambassador, the UK ambassador, the children. And in that aspect, she brought back this kind of books. She brought the Rapunzel, the Snow White, the Cinderella. So as I was growing up, also my characters were kind of like they were white. We were writing about snow and stuff like that. It took me a lot of time, I can tell you, up to secondary, until I met maybe Wole Soyinka's works, that I started having that kind of appreciation for African literature. Because even, to be honest, the stories that I read from Uganda, away from, before meeting the John Ugandas, to be honest, if I can tell, I did not really enjoy these stories as much as maybe the Western stories appealed to me. It took me a lot of time after meeting people like Ngugi, like Chebe, to understand and appreciate our kind of literature. So I do have strong thoughts on us, really. That's why if I'm creating a novel, I want to give it the finishing, the international finishing, how a novel would look like. Even when we're doing illustrations in my novels, I was telling the illustrator, look, we are tired of these ugly pictures. We need these, the way these illustrations that would make young people really want to hold this book. That's the reason why I'm so much passionate about doing quality work, because I do believe if we are to change this kind of mindset, it needs us to act as if we are an international PR company, and we need to get people understand our stories and enjoy our stories. That's why I decided to venture into cinema, because I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yes.
Jerry. I'll just interrupt at the moment. Thank you so much for those insights about your perspective. Now, a few things come from Jerry, and one of them is about publicity. Who is supposed to publicize Africa? Who is supposed to sell us to the world? That we are our own Africans who have baked pancakes, but we go into the market and we leave our pancakes in the basket and the boil and go to sell Western pancakes. We go to sell pancakes from Asia and elsewhere in the world. As we have a comedian here in Uganda called Teacher Mpamire, he always asks a question, what went wrong? As we move to the next panelist, who is Joseph Tainduka, could you also give us some light on what you think has gone wrong in that direction? In 2 minutes, please. All right, very interesting. Now, when you see a food scientist in Joseph trying to allude and bring into context how, nutrition blends into African literature and reading, yes, I may accept at a point that many of us could be victims of malnutrition. It could be kwashako, but we can get out of this. I will now hand over to Agatha to welcome the remaining panelists on this question, and then we'll get running with the rest of the questions. Over to you, Agatha. Could Agatha be on? If Agatha is off, okay.
Hey, I'm on.
Okay, please. Take the floor and welcome the next panelist, and we move to the next question.
Yes, thank you so much, Cohens and all the panelists. Maybe let me just go to the next question. Yeah, we have talked of our perspectives of the reading culture and of course it being so poor, but I believe that to every problem there is always a solution. So as Africans, really, are we just going to remain complaining year in and year out that the reading culture is poor? So really, what can we do as Africans to improve the reading culture in African communities? Thank you, and I'm going to start right away with Mr. Themba. Mr. Themba Emmanuel, you're most welcome.
Hello, leadership.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for this opportunity. So I've been listening for all of you guys. Very interesting. Okay, can you repeat your question, Ms. Agatha?
Yes. So what can we do? What are some of the strategies or innovations that we can maybe put in place to improve on the reading culture in Africa? Thank you.
Okay, I think such awareness like this conference, it can have a positive impact to improve the culture of reading in Africa, like raising more book clubs, like keep on having this kind of conversation or meetings online. Because what I realize about us as Africans, we tend to like things that are not to be read. Like we prefer to listen than reading most of the time. So I think maybe, I don't know, we could change, adopt the culture of making audiobooks. I don't know, I think that can work, because personally, I realize that most of the people, they like to listen than to read, because they like movies, they like songs. So I think it can work. And again, here in South Africa and Africa as a whole, we've got online platforms. So most of the time, each and every day when I check on those reading platforms, you will see 200 people online reading. So on that case, I think we are coming all right in terms of digital or online reading. So making awareness, like going to our libraries, hence our local libraries, most of the time they don't support this book club reading. So if these things can be our culture, instill that culture of making awareness, making meetings about books, readings, making some competitions, I think we can get more people, like making them to like reading books than now. I don't know if I've answered the question right.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you have indeed answered. And that is why, as Readers Africa, we are trying very much to really emphasize on the creation of book clubs, not just creating, but also to sustain the book clubs, so that in case of people who really have very poor reading culture, they can easily catch up Yeah, so maybe let me hear from Jerry Sesanga. He has been a literacy activist for quite some time, lobbying books from the US and doing a lot really for both the film industry and also the writing industry. So what can we really do to improve on the reading culture in African communities? Thank you.
Yes, I think the reading culture, like you said, the last word is culture. It is possible. And that's why I encourage other authors, however much you write for adults and what, let us even start with the picture books. Let us start with the few word books for children so that this literature is available. And then we initiate this culture from a young age. I think I've answered you, Agatha.
Yes, thank you so much, Jerry, for that insight. Yes, and let me go to Ms. Nanen Tube. Yes, she's also a literacy activist. Maybe should give us some secrets on how to improve on the reading culture in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Agatha, for that question. And to begin with, I would like to go back to the first question that was asked about adults and youth, their motivation, their low motivation in reading. Destiny said that to hide something from an African, put it in a book. That is a common saying that has been going on in Africa. Permit me say that this quotation is a very wrong view of Africa, given that the person who made this quotation did not understand Africa and did not understand the Africans and their culture. If we look at the African history, we'll see that Africans have what we call the oral tradition, the oral culture. So reading was not much of their culture. Reading came in with the advent of books after colonialism or colonization. With the introduction of reading, we have many Africans who started reading books, but books that were too foreign, and they could not identify themselves with the characters in the book. They could not identify themselves with the culture. They could not identify themselves with the landscape. So you could bear with me that the motivation at this level will be very, very low. So with this low motivation and with Africans embracing book reading without any explicit explanation as to why they should read or the importance of reading, and also with the introduction of foreign books, the reading culture in Africa drastically could not meet up to the expectations of those who introduce books. So a reason why many Africans, like Emmanuel said, many Africans believe the listening than the reading. They listen because it is their culture, the oral tradition of saying, passing things like knowledge through from mouth to ears or whatsoever. So that is how it has been going through. Now, to answer your question on how we can improve the reading culture in Africa, I would say that it is very important for us to start from the base. It is very important to start from the base. And when it's from the nursery sections, the nursery sections in our different countries, to the primary, to the secondary, to the university level. It should be a gradual process. And so at each level, we should explain to the children or the students why they should read. We should give an explicit explanation as to why they should read. You cannot read without knowing why, knowing the why of your reading. Why are you reading? You find somebody holding a book, at the end of the day, the person cannot tell you anything in that book because the person does not know why he or she is reading. So we should explain why. And then the next thing is we should introduce books that talk about Africa, books that talk about African legends, books that talk about the African landscape, the African culture, the lifestyle, and all the other colors we have in Africa. Children are very interested when they start seeing images of what they could connect with. When they look at, if for example, in why I read with so many children out here in Cameroon, what I notice is that once I introduce a book that is that has local colors, the children, they find interest in it because they identify themselves with that culture. They identify themselves with the way of dressing, the way of life, the kind of language a person speaks in the book. So that interest will make them read even more. But if we
Sorry, Miss Nane, we are having technical glitches from our presenter's end. I pray it can just get sorted. Nane, can you hear us? You are breaking because of network, I think. Okay, sorry about that. Some things we can't really avoid, but it's just getting heated on this point that we are looking at who Africa is and what Africa is. That by roots, we are literally defined by oral literature. And at this point, I would like to chip in as Ms. Nani maybe reconnects and go to one of the persons who is the right person to respond to some of these questions. Mr. Gareba is a teacher of English language and literature in English. I am as well a teacher of English language and literature in English. We have always had scenarios of students in lower secondary, senior one first term, before they hear about literature, someone teaching them a novel from its Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Well, it relates with children, but the setting is very strange to them. And at the point, that is what Ms. Nani has been trying to relate with. What causes this? Do you think that in this line, we can make reading as a learning and leisure activity be integrated with the career and the academic spheres? What best strategies do we do to make sure that we'll be able to leverage this? Let's hear from Mr. Gareba on that perspective.
All right, thank you very much. Go ahead. I'm excited to be here and definitely to talk to my fellow Africans. I want to appreciate the speakers who spoke before me and the narrative surely hitting up. Now, to begin with, I want to state what influences Chinua Achebe to write his first book in 1958, Things Fall Apart. He thinks Africans are poorly represented by the authors that had emerged up after colonization and all that. So he comes up and says, you know what, guys, Africa is poorly represented by whites. By then, of course, they would write about anything about Africa. They would say we are barbaric, we don't have any culture, we don't have, everything was a mess according to them. So he comes up in 1958 writing Sort Apart, and he says, you know what? Africa is a good continent. It has people, it has culture, it has families, it has etc, etc. And until then, we had not known Africa. So he brings us a character, Okonkwo, and through Okonkwo, we realize that Africa has a very good, rich history, has a culture, has a background, has nature, has everything. So we have been misrepresented by the authors, like white authors, and because we have been misrepresented, that is the thing we have exactly given to our children. And so you find our minds are unsocketed because we don't know Africa, we don't know us, we don't know ourselves. And of course, as a language teacher, I know for any person to think rightly, they must first think in their language, in their own traditions. So we tend to, think in the line of what we read, like some of the speakers had said. We take in different cultures. We take in, I'll give you an example. You're reading a certain book or a certain novel play, and you see people preparing the hamburgers and sandwiches and all that. That is not a kind of a dish Africans should be taking. But because that is what we are feeding in our children, we find that the culture has all gone. Now, to answer your question, I think it begins with us, the writers, and also the policy makers. What are we giving our children? Are we really giving them the right literature? I think it was, is it Mugisha who said that what we read, be it in the Bible or Quran, will influence us somehow, somewhere, either spiritually or physically, but somehow there is that attachment with what we read. So I think it goes back to what we give, and also us, the writers, the upcoming writers. Are we really writing about our own traditions? Are we writing about Africa, or we are copying traditions from elsewhere? And when our kids are reading, they cannot really relate with what they are seeing in the environment. We are currently someone writes, and the entire reading is the entire waste or something. So I think it has to go back to how we must write, and we must write well as Africans. We must also, policymakers, definitely. You see, I will give an example with the Ugandan curriculum. Currently, they must put Western books, those are the classical books, and later they can put in either one African book or something. And you find that they're emphasizing on the Western books, which I think at all levels, this trend should change. And I liked the theme of today's conference, changing the narrative. We must change the narrative. We must change how things are done right now if we must set a trend for the next generation. And also, if we want, coming to the second question that has been asked, if we must change the reading culture, definitely I must agree with the speakers who came first. We must begin with the young children, reading them novels or short plays before they sleep, and we tell them these are the right things to read. We give them the courage of reading. By the time they grow, they'll have that motivation to read. But honestly, currently, you find a child grows up to maybe secondary level, they have never interacted with a book until maybe they meet literature or a certain text in a class. So with that kind of reading courage, I don't think we're going to be helped. So I believe moving forward that it will begin with one, policymakers. What are they putting on our market for us to read? And secondly, as the writers, African writers, what are we writing about? Are we also copying? Have we become copycats? Are we just copying and pasting people's cultures? And thirdly, when we are writing as African writers, are we representing our cultures and traditions rightly? That is a very fundamental question, because it is what we give others or what we feed in their souls that is going to really captivate them to think rightly. I do much with short stories. I write short stories, and I've always seen my audience say, "Okay, this is the other," because it is what we feed in them. So. Briefly, that is what I can say about reading and the reading culture in Africa. Back to you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, John Mark, for those very, very intriguing insights. Now, from a perspective of a teacher, however, one thing I should also disagree with is that sometimes the way we teach or the way we engage maybe learners or any persons in reading may also disinterest them. So let's always look at appropriateness of material. And now going forward, I would like to come back to Gladys. There is an issue that has come up that we have a role to play. Everyone has a responsibility too. So looking at educators, looking at society, looking at the learners themselves, what do you think is the responsibility of these stakeholders in putting up a very sound reading culture? As we have been informed that, for example, oral literature has died out, that we are taken up by the wave of online reading. If I put up a riddle somewhere, if I put up a legend on Facebook, would it receive very many comments as someone who writes something that is too much westernized? Okay, so we accept that things have gone wrong somehow, somewhere, but where do we see parents, educators, and society coming in to make sure that oral literature, indigenous and local content is given a hype, so as we be able to read what we understand and what we can relate with, and basically also Africanizing. I saw a very good point from the chat that we must Africanize the characters. So how best do we move towards that kind of spectrum? Over to you, Gladys, and then we'll also have, I don't know whether Nane is already back, but we could have Joseph come in at that point also to supplement.
Okay, thank you, Cohens, for giving me this opportunity once again. But before I respond to that answer, allow me put something straight. You see, when I started, what I know most of us have taken what I say perhaps into out of context. I say there is a famous quote. Actually, I've been trying to look out who gave that damn quote, but it is always said a famous man, a famous person, whatever. What I was trying to relate is that that quote has been moving around, but the narrative has changed over time. And because of the efforts we have put together, efforts of many people interested in changing the narrative in our continent about reading, we have moved into an era where some people will read. Now, I know most of us who are in this conference are pro-reading people who love reading, or who appreciate reading. But if we are to get ourselves away from ourselves, how many of our people, let's start from where we stay, let's start the people around us in appreciate reading, and more especially appreciate reading content that is African based. So you could ask yourself that, and then appreciate that, yes, there is contribution that is coming. Yes, there are some Africans energetic and zealous about reading and changing the narrative in our society, but also we need to appreciate the fact that as much as we are doing this, there are also people who still really are not into this reading thing that we are so advocating for. So going to the part of our roles and our responsibilities, let me give you a simple example. I have often I get nephews and nieces who come to stay where I am, and recently I had 2 little boys. When they came, we decided to get for them a book. After having their homeschooling time, TV is maybe only 1 hour or 30 minutes. Before you sleep, you have 1 hour of story reading. Now, that 1 hour of story reading for the 1 week they are with me, when the feedback I got from teachers is that when they read these books, they go and tell their friends where they're doing homeschooling that this is what we read, and they made their friends, when they come to visit them at our place, they're asking for the books that these ones are reading. So why am I giving that example? The responsibility in culture starts with us in our homes, with our people, before as much as we want to influence the bigger sphere. So from our homes, can we interest our children? Can we interest ourselves into reading? Can we show by example that we are reading? On individual basis, can we take the initiative to buy the books that we are saying we want to buy from our African authors, from the Ugandan authors, and at a bigger scale of national, or have the mind, the energy to learn things quicker compared to people who are a bit older. So we have responsibility at all levels, but above all else, it starts from where we are in our homes, in our small groups. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Gladys. We are running short of time, but before I hand over to Agatha to ask, maybe to engage us on the second last question, I also want to recognize and appreciate everyone who is making a contribution through the chat box. We are having some of this recorded, and it is very, if we want to hide anything from a white man, let's write it in an African language. Very interesting comment that has come through. I also wish to recognize one of the greatest men we have on the land of Africa. We have a grandfather, Mr. Tony Onugba, all the way from Nigeria. He is a founder at Writers Space Africa, and we are so much humbled to have you here. If you have read some of his works, I have loved it that he always wants to use characters that you very much know. And that is one way of Africanizing literature in Africa. Now, going forward, we are going to have Joseph come in to draw some light on this. But meanwhile, in the chat, if we are talking about ideas, I would request that every one of us try to interest us in anything. It could be a proverb, it could be a saying, it could be a short line that you think relates with Africa. It could be a title of a song, because if we can only say, okay, it could be a quotation in your language and perhaps help us translate it in that common foreign language that unites us as Africans. Very strange. Those comments come through. We have always read proverbs from Nigeria, but let's see if we can do it now. Could also give your perspective on how best we can take up responsibility as educators, as society, but also in whichever capacities that we hold, how best do we improve and change this narrative to that very desired one? In a minute, please. Thank you. Okay, as I hand over to Agatha, just will be wrapping up this in a couple of about 6 or 7 minutes. Before I hand over, there is something interesting in the chat that I would like to try reading so that I also sound strange to any Western person here. Which one do I read? Ha 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 ha. Chwinyuinyo arir marodong tuping. Okay, very interesting. I see people from Kenya coming in. Karega brought in something in Swahili. I see someone here from Tanzania is bringing in something in context. Please, let's try to asiyefunzwa na mamaye hafunzwa na ulimwengu. Translation: he who is not brought up right by the parents will be brought up by the world. Very interesting wisdom from here in Africa. It is not from anywhere else. Over to you, Agatha, to introduce the second last question as we engage the rest of the panelists and finally come to conclude this session.
Yes, thank you so much, Cohens and our dear panelists, for your deep insights. Now, maybe just to supplement, yeah, there's been a common saying that really, yeah, as someone has actually said, that is, I think, Themba said that one of the reasons why we really have poor reading culture is most people actually prefer to listen. Yes, if maybe we could come up with audio books instead of maybe having the actual physical books, the hard copies, I mean. Yeah, so, and if you're to juxtapose really the reading industry with other industries like maybe the arts performance, you look at maybe the film industry, you find that really the reading industry is really lagging behind. So my question really goes to specifically Nane and then also Jerry. How can we integrate reading into performance arts like, yeah, poetry, film, music industry, so that really reading is really not lagging behind? Thank you. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Jerry.
Thank you. I think what was when we came into this industry, for example, the Ugandan cinema industry, I specifically hired somebody to be the director of literature because I felt, first of all, our cinemas, people who are doing these movies do not have a storytelling background. They'll only do these movies because they want to make some money. So someone assembles a team and then they do something. So you watch a movie and it doesn't have the literature. So specifically, I wanted the movies that have some words, some literature into them. So it is upon us, people who are already into the reading, the writing industry, to say that, look, we are not going to force some of the people to see our stories in the books. And if they cannot see them in the book, we need to go where they are. Right now, the mobile phone has become the new trend. You see, the mobile phone is the king. You see, someone will create simple videos and then they garner a lot of views and then they have a lot of money. And then you find someone is a millionaire by creating content just on the phone. So if we want to go with read, but we really need to go where the audience is. And right now the audience is actually on the mobile phone. So how do we create this kind of content? So I think we are better much suited, we people of literature, we people of writing, to create these stories, because it will take a good script. It will take great literary insight and art to create such work. So I do really encourage authors that however much we are into one medium, we may look to go into another medium, maybe to cover for other people that we cannot force. I think I've answered you, Agatha.
Yes, thank you, Jerry. Maybe let us hear from Nane from Cameroon.
Okay, thank you, Agatha, for that question. Looking at the film industry, I'll base my analysis in Cameroon. Looking at the film industry in Cameroon, when we talk of reading, we see that many of the actors, especially the young actors and even the older ones, once they start acting, they have a script. When they have that script, they need to read the script and memorize what is in the script in order to produce what the director or the producer is requesting from them. So by doing that, they are reading. So, but if we want to integrate another type of reading culture in the film industry, maybe producers or script writers will have to, let me say, introduce scenes where we'll have reading sessions, where we have children being engaged into reading, or we have people acting and putting reading at the center, or talking about reading, the reading culture in Africa. We can have such scenes in the film industry. Now, talking about poetry, with poetry we can organize so many poetry reading sessions where with interactive reading at the center. You see, interactive reading is very, very important because it motivates those who are present to listen and to follow up the reading. Because by interactive reading, we have so many people who are involved. One person who is maybe reading, and the others who listen and ask questions later on. So if you know that you are going to ask a question, you pay attention to what the person is reading, and you also help the person to read and read perfectly. So that is interactive reading. It comes in as a type of a game. It's a type of very innovative and creative way of reading with people, or engaging young people to read. So we can have that those reading sessions with a focus on interactive reading. So with the poetry performances, we understand that to be a performer, you are first of all a poet. So if you write your poems, you read your poems, you memorize your poems before performing. So by performing, you must have read. So it is a first stage. Reading is the first stage before performance. So that one is encouraging reading. So by so doing, the person performing reads, and it is very encouraging.